welcome everybody to Dave Cooper Live, where we bring you the people, the products, and the processes helping us all to build it better. And today is no different. Today we are welcoming to the Duke Street Cottages, a pocket neighborhood of zero energy ready homes near downtown Granite Falls, North Carolina, with spacious front porches overlooking the shared green space. Building scientist Rob Howard's goal is to prove that living large on a small budget is possible. President of Howard Building Science, Rob is building the missing middle housing in the high country and the foothills of Western North Carolina, and plans to certify all 11 homes in his pocket neighborhood to the DOE Zero Energy Ready Home Program. The primary offsite technology being used on all electric homes is an advanced structural insulated panel system from Eco Panels, who are the award-winning collaborators on this project. What's the secret formula to building a net zero ready community? Rob Howard is here to share all the secrets. But first, we have to thank our amazing partners, Forward Solutions Group and Howick Ltd., who help us each week deliver these conversations and innovation. Forward Solutions Group is successfully driving companies to succeed where others have failed. Contact Ben Hershey to learn more, Ben at forwardsolutionsgroup.com, and I guarantee you'll be able to find him at BCMC this upcoming week as well in Ohio. And also Howick Ltd., who has a long history of innovation in cold form steel manufacturing, producing innovative precision roll forming technology for customers throughout the United States and the world. If you missed our world tour with them, you should check it out. We were just in London. Check out their Machines Buyer's Guide for offsite modular construction or fast build construction with light steel for framing, howickltd.com. All right, so without further ado, let's hop into this. Let's bring Rob onto the program. What's happening, Rob?
Hey, Dave.
How are you today?
I'm good, man.
So you're the superhero of the day. That's what I love. You're the superhero. We got
our capes.
I have a cape here somewhere. I'm sure I can borrow my son's. You know, I got Batman. I think Superman. Spider-Man doesn't have one, but I got some web throwers.
Nice.
Rob, so, I mean, you got a lot going on. One, you're developing a net zero community or a net zero ready community. Let's, start off. But you are also a teacher, right? Or you used another term, I don't know what it was, but at Appalachian State University. So why don't you take 2 minutes, tell us a little bit about who you are, what you're doing, and then we're going to come back. We're going to talk about what you're doing at the university and then how that ties in to the community that you are currently working on. But you only have 2 minutes. Go for
it. No problem. I'm only 50 years old, so I can definitely tell that story in 2 minutes. So, I guess a quick background story on me is I spent 15 years with Habitat for Humanity, 10 years with my local affiliate in Hickory, North Carolina as the director of construction, and then 5 years with Habitat International as a sustainable building specialist. So, that definitely informs the way I think about housing. And I'm trying to take all the lessons I learned from 15 years with Habitat for Humanity and apply that to market rate housing now, but try to keep it. I tend not to use the term affordable anymore. I tend to say attainable for the average person in my area to be able to afford to buy. So when I'm not building and developing pocket neighborhoods, I'm a full-time lecturer now at Appalachian State University in Boone, North Carolina. We were joking around about being a practitioner in residence. While that's not actually my title, I would love for it to be. It's certainly the way I like to think of myself and approach education with one foot in the real world, if you will, and then the other foot in academia. But I love working with students every day, talking building science and helping them understand, as you say, kind of the tricks of the trade and how we can do this. With high performance in mind, but also with an eye on the budget.
So, all right. How do you do it all? How do you spend all day in a classroom? How do you run and develop a community that is looking to serve the affordable housing market or attainable housing market, as you said? and also teach about it at the same time. Because my guess is you go and teach about it, then you go and practice it, and then you say, well, that's not working the way I thought it was going to work. And then you reteach about it and you discuss it in the classroom. But am I just guessing at that, or is there some real life learning happening? And are you actually teaching this in school?
Yeah, no, to your point, I would love to say that I've got this down. I know exactly how to do it now, and I'm just going to keep, repeating that over and over again. But yeah, to be honest, it's never been that way. My whole career, I've always been, trying new things. You go to conferences, you listen to Dave Cooper live, and, you pick up things from other professionals in the industry, and you say, wow, I got to try that. So yeah, I'm always tweaking and experimenting with the homes I'm building. So, but yeah, it's fun to be able to share that, and just be honest and transparent with students about that, the beauty of it is we don't have it all figured out.
Right.
All the professionals in the industry are just doing the best we can with the knowledge and expertise and technology we have available today, but always with an eye on the future and how we can be doing it better, more efficiently. So ultimately, we need technology and efficiency to help us keep the cost down.
Yeah, for sure. So how does it work? Walk us through what a day in the life of scientist superhero Rob Howard looks like, in the classroom. So, and what is the curriculum, each and every day? Like, what are you guys working on right now? And then I want to see how we tie that into the project, the Duke Street Cottages that you're working on.
Yep. So I teach in the Department of Sustainable Technology in the built environment. It's just this, just rolls right off the tongue. So half of our students are studying sustainable technology, including solar, wind, biomass, renewable energy technologies. And the other half are studying building science and different concentrations under that, including construction management, which is a big part of our program. We also have architectural design and a sustainable building systems class or concentration that's a newer focus for us. So, but yeah, the heart of our program has always been around sustainability and how we can be, you've heard it described as green building or sustainable building over the years, but how can we continue to build more housing, because we certainly need that, but do that in a sustainable way that's, environmentally responsible.
Yeah. And did you kind of get the urge and the need to want to take on projects like this through your work with Habitat, or where did it personally start for you and this journey? Because I know it started before COVID and all these other things started kicking in. So, I mean, it's been a real learning curve, I'm sure, but where did the passion come from, Rob?
Yeah, no, I think definitely my background with Habitat for Humanity is where that drive comes from. I started there in 2001, got my GC license in 2004, and through a partnership between Habitat for Humanity and Appalachian State University, we have an energy center here on campus. They got a grant from the State Energy Office to build a net zero energy home back in 2005. So as far as we know, we built the very first net zero energy home in North Carolina back in 2005. So that experience has really transformed the way I think about building. Every house since, as I shared with you earlier, I've been trying to get back to, doing them all net zero. But, certainly the cost of solar has come down dramatically since 2005, but it's still not free. So it's still a significant upgrade, if you will. So yeah, trying to figure out how to incorporate that on a budget is certainly challenging.
Yeah, I bet it is. Do any of your students actually work on your projects with you?
Yeah, I've actually got one of our undergrads came to work for me part-time over the summer, and then was able to work it out with his class schedule to continue working part-time even during school. So yeah, about 2 days a week he's on site as kind of a project manager with me. But I've also had a lot of interest from students and just coming down and visiting the project, so I tend to give a couple tours a week, which is, that's a lot of fun for me. I mean, I love exposing, kind of the next generation, if you will, of sustainable builders to these techniques and, it's one thing to talk about it in the classroom and see pictures of it up on the screen, but to get out there in the field and, get your hands on it, that's a unique opportunity.
Yeah, it really is a unique opportunity. And I do wonder, though, do they come to the job site for the project or because there's a brewery across the street?
Well, these are undergrads, so it better be for the project.
Oh, there you go. Right. There you go.
Grad students, on the other hand, they probably come for the brewery.
Right. Undergrads don't drink. I
Really a
forgot.
strategic location for my development.
Yeah, no. Well, I think it is, right? It's that whole live, work, play, community type concept that you have going there. All right, so I'm going to put the project up on the screen here. This was an ad that just recently ran. So why don't you tell us what we're looking for in this picture here, and then I'll also share the website as well shortly.
Yeah, so Duke Street Cottages is a little pocket neighborhood and infill development near downtown Granite Falls, North Carolina. The whole pocket neighborhood concept is credited to Ross Chapin, an architect near Seattle. So I got to see him speak at a innovative housing summit in Atlanta a few years ago, and that really inspired me to try to do exactly what he was describing in my hometown. So started looking for land to develop one of these. I was having dinner at the brewery one night and looked across the street and saw this vacant parcel and did a little research and found out it actually belonged to a family friend. I called him up and asked him if he had plans for it. He did not. So he sold it to me, and I got it approved as you're a planning guys call it a PUD, a planned unit development.
Okay.
So I was able to squeeze in 11 lots on 1.25 acres, and it surrounds a shared green space or courtyard in the middle. So all these front porches that, are going to be built will be facing that green space. And, you don't really have a deck on the back. We're basically trying to make that big front porch your outdoor living room. So we, essentially coax people out onto their front porch so they get to know their neighbors and to try to create a sense of community that, in some ways has been lost in the traditional cul-de-sac developments where we tend to front houses on pavement and then build these private decks in the back,
Right.
So yeah, and in some ways it's kind of hearkening back to the neighborhoods that, some of us grew up in.
All right. So walk us through the actual materials in the build. How are you achieving net zero ready builds out of this? And what are you using? Why did you choose it? Was it the right choice? Let's just dive into it.
Yeah. So, I mean, traditionally I have, in my habitat career, we've usually stick built houses on site. We typically use 2x6 exterior walls, 24 inches on center, so an advanced framing package to try to get more insulation in the cavity, and then continuous insulation on the outside. That would have been my go-to envelope system, but I've gotten to know Charles Leahy from Eco Panels, which is a manufacturer in Mocksville, North Carolina, over the last few years, and got familiar with his product, was really impressed with it, and wanted to find a way to implement that system in this project. So he worked with me on the design to try to optimize his product for my process, and gave me a little friends and family discount, to be perfectly honest. Thankfully we were able to get it to a price point that I could make work for the budget on these homes. And there's only two plans. There's a 2-bedroom plan and a 3-bedroom plan. They're very small footprint, very simple. So, to be honest, we've still, continued to find ways to tweak the design to continue to optimize it for his panel product. But yeah, I mean, it's in some ways it's similar to traditional SIPs. They are normally, at 4x8 panels, but I guess the major differences are he uses spray polyurethane foam, closed cell foam in the cavity as opposed to EPS like traditional SIPs. He also offers Huber Zip Sheathing as an upgrade for the exterior skin. So as you might have noticed in that picture, we did opt for the Huber Zip on the outside. So, we're using their flashing tapes and their liquid flash to seal up, the envelope and create a really good water and air control layer on the outside. And, we're using his 4.5-inch panels for the walls, which are R26,
Mm-hmm.
and his 6.5-inch panels for the roof, which are R40. So, we're above code for all the R value requirements as far as the envelope is concerned for our I'm building in climate zone 4.
Yeah.
So we're in the foothills. We can see Boone, from our house, but we're not quite in that same. They're climate zone 5 up there in
Sure.
the mountains.
So, all right. So we're meeting the exterior wall. Are you doing a rain screen on these? James Hardy siding, I think, is you were doing a fiber cement type board, correct?
Correct. Yeah. So
Yep.
on top of the Huber zip system, we're putting 1x4 furring strips. One to give ourselves a little bit more of a nailing base for the siding,
Mm-hmm.
but also to create that drainage plane for better drainage and drying. And then, as you say, we're hanging the James Hardy. We're doing board and batten on the 1-story plan, and then more of a traditional lap siding on the 2-story.
Got it. And with with eco panels, is it a full system similar to Benson Wood, where it's the walls and the roof system?
It can be. It doesn't have to be. I mean, you
Mm-hmm.
could just use the wall panels and the traditional stick frame or trussed roof. But in my opinion, you're not really getting the full benefit of the system if you don't use the whole system. So
Got it.
they also offer a floor panel, which wouldn't necessarily have. It's not really necessary with I'm doing closed crawl space foundations, very short code minimum crawl space foundations, but not necessary for the type of construction I'm doing. But Charles and I have certainly talked about other foundation types that might be appropriate to use, even the floor panels.
Got it. To where you could just have the floor panels as like slab on grade type setup? Is that
Well,
what you mean by
it
that?
wouldn't be slab on grade. This would be an elevated foundation,
Yeah.
floor system. But they do make a floor panel.
Mm-hmm.
So you could literally have the entire envelope be SIPS, at that point. But in my case, I'm doing the walls and the roof. Yeah. So in some ways, it feels like you're walking into a cooler. When you walk into these houses, we've got a couple of them in the dry now with the windows and doors in, and when you walk in there and close that door, it's amazing. Maybe it's not like your sound studio, that you're broadcasting from, but it's pretty quiet in there. It's impressive.
Yeah, I bet it is. In fact, I was just looking at their site here. You mind if I share some of the
Oh, not
photo
at all.
galleries here?
Yeah, sure.
Let's put this up so people can see what we have going on here. So these are some of the construction photos. Let's see. Is that coming through for you guys? It is, right?
Yeah.
So like I see they got the clown hammer there. They don't have an orange one though, but you got the clown hammer going. But the panels themselves, walk me through, how do these lock together?
Yeah, so they've got a really cool kind of tongue and groove form that they use when they spray the foam in there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's basically like a foam tongue and groove joint. And then they also have this cam lock system. So once you crank down on that cam lock, it actually tightens those panels up even more. So it creates a really tight air seal there where the wall panels come together.
Yep.
As you can see, they'll also put in your rough openings for your windows and doors in the factory, so you're not having to cut all that stuff out on site. It does require a lot of pre-planning,
Sure.
So we go back and forth, numerous times with these panel plans until we get them right. And, to be honest, we've not always gotten it exactly right. So again, we're tweaking things as we go and, making improvements to try to, get it right the next time, I guess, or do a better job the next time. But the other thing that may not be obvious from those pictures is that they will put electrical conduit in the panels.
Okay.
So you've got, not the literal wiring installed, but at least outlets, boxes with conduit to make it easier for your electrician to run your receptacles and switches and light fixtures, things like that.
Got it. And I'm looking here, they have a system online as well where you can kind of do your own design, or it walks you through, it looks like, as well.
Yeah, I guess the other thing I should make sure I point out on that system is in some of those pictures, you'll see they've got a really unique corner panel.
Okay.
So you've got continuous insulation all the way through the corner. So there's several advantages to this thing that, I think really makes for a better envelope system. And So it's definitely a premium product, and thus, is going to be a little more expensive than conventional framing. But certainly, I think if you do it correctly and optimize it for what you're trying to build, I do think you end up with a much better envelope system.
Yeah, with it. And I love that on their website. So if you guys are watching this out there, on the website itself, they're putting all their construction details here. I think that's brilliant that they're sharing this with everybody, and super important for us to build it better and grow, because this takes all the guesswork out of exactly how these are built, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, they've been doing this, quite a while. So they've worked out a lot of this for you. As you say, you just got to spend a little time with their documents to make sure you're getting the details right.
Right, for sure. So on the process of it, then when the panels are ordered and you're having them installed, do they actually do the installation, or is it a local crew, that your local contractors, students, whomever, that do it?
Yeah, so it's kind of a hybrid when you get started with it. Their crew will certainly help you with your first set, but ultimately they're just there to help train your framing crew, to be able to do this on their own. So
sure.
And it's actually quite simple. So I mean, once you've done a couple of panel connections, you're off and running. So you could pick it up just from watching those video clips on their website, quite frankly. But there's a few techniques or tricks, you might say, that they can certainly help you do it faster. But yeah, to be honest, we've gotten better at it each time. We've done an envelope system with it. We get faster at it, and I feel like we continue to improve our process to do a better job with their product.
So let's talk about MEPs on this. Are you going to have the traditional forced air, wall units, high efficient? What are you doing? Do you not even need them?
Oh, that'd be nice. So these aren't quite that tight, but no, we're not taking this all the way to passive house level certification, but that's probably maybe the next step for me. As I think about how to continue to improve performance, that's the next logical step, I think. But ultimately, again, we're just trying to build the best envelope system we can to reduce electrical load. If you want to shoot for net zero. But we're also trying to limit mechanical load, so if you think about the heating and cooling load on the house. Yeah, we're going to be low load homes for sure. So, we need more advanced mechanical systems that are available in smaller capacities. So, as you know, I spent a couple of years hawking heat pumps for Mitsubishi Electric. So it'll come as no surprise what brand of HVAC systems I'm using in these homes. But yeah, the 1-story 2-bedroom plan is 800 square feet, just under a ton, heating and cooling load. So yeah, we'll have basically a 1-ton mini split hanging on the wall in the great room. And then we're using the ventilation system from Broan. We've got an ERV as the mechanical ventilation strategy, and they have a supply ventilation fan that we're using to distribute air through the house. So yeah, we've done quite a few systems like this over the years. So this is nothing brand new by any means. It's a tested system. But yeah, the 2-story, I'm definitely going to split that into 2 zones. So I'll have a ductless system for the first floor, which is basically living, dining, kitchen, all basically wide open. And then on the second floor, you've got 3 bedrooms and 2 baths. So we're going to use a little slim ducted, sometimes you hear them called a ducted mini split, in essence, for the second floor.
Got it. And they'll have roof cassettes or ceiling cassettes or what have you that they run through.
Yeah, it's a traditional ducted strategy. It's just a smaller, form factor for the air handler itself.
Sure.
So yeah, because we're using the eco panels for the roof, everything in the attic is inside the thermal envelope. So that's where the ductwork and the air handler will be. So we definitely want to keep all the mechanicals inside conditioned space whenever possible, or at least inside the thermal and air boundary.
Right. So let's talk about mechanicals in general. Electrical, is it pre-run? Is it pre-planned out? Like, who does all the planning for these? In fact, I think I saw a comment for that as well. Let me just go there, make sure I give credit on that as well. Michael Bruce, who chooses the location of outlet and switch boxes? The electrician? Hey, Michael.
So yeah, I mean, in some ways we're building the airplane as we fly it, to be perfectly transparent. I've never used SIPS before, so this is new for me. But yeah, we're basically doing an electrical plan as we're doing a panel plan. So we get the panels laid out the way we want them, and the next phase of that is we lay out the electrical. And I'm certainly communicating with my electrician and having them, kind of look over my shoulder as we place those, just to make sure we're meeting all the at least minimum code requirement, but also thinking about furniture placement and where you're going to want, drops for, lamps to plug in, or, TVs, where's all that stuff going to go? So yeah, it is a bit of a iterative process.
Sure.
On that.
So I see the outlets already in the wall, right? You can see, here down by the door, you got a floor outlet, you got a switch box here. Where's the wires? How do you run the wires on these?
Yeah, so there's just conduit running from that box down to the base of the panel.
Okay.
So when you set the wall panel on your base plate, you're drilling through the base plate to make it easier for the electrician to fish that wire up through that conduit into that box when they come out to do roughing.
Got it. So everything's just home run to the box on site, and everything just has a place for it to be pushed through.
Assuming that you get the hole drilled in the proper location. So I'm not going to pretend like we've gotten that right every time. But again,
sure.
We've learned, use a little bit bigger bit, and measure twice, cut once.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Why don't you just take those plans and digitize them into laser, shoot the laser on it, and they'll hit it every time.
Now that's a really good idea.
Yeah, food for thought. I bet. In fact, Michael Bruce, that's his world. I bet he could do that for you. Michael, help him with that. That sounds like a great opportunity to save a lot of headaches and time, and not put any more holes than you have to in a net zero home. For sure. Right. I love it. All right. So let's talk about this. Who's buying these homes, Rob? Like, who's the consumer? Who's buying it? If it's affordable, are there tax credits? Is this workforce housing, attainable housing? Walk me through the gamut.
Yeah, I think workforce housing is a good way to describe it. As you think about who my target audience is, or my target buyer would be. So, but I've got 3 of these pre-sold. All 3 that are pre-sold are the 2-bedroom plan, the 800 square footer. So I guess, working with my architect, which is Tight Lines Designs in Raleigh, by the way, worked with those guys for years, even back when I was at Habitat. So they, we sort of together, developed this 2-bedroom plan, thinking of it being kind of an aging in place plan for, older couple who wants to downsize into single level living, for example. But of the 3 that I have sold, 2 of them are, couples that would, certainly be in that part of their life. But one of them is a single male, in his 30s. So it's certainly a good option for anybody, 1 and 2 person households, which is, a large portion of our culture now. So yeah, it's I think it's kind of a good flex option in that sense. It's not a tiny home, but it's certainly compact and efficient.
Yeah, for sure. And like you said, you have 2 plans. This is what I love about it, right? You got 3 different homes. You got 2 different plans. You got the ranch style plan, then you got a 2-story, but the floor plans are the same. You just changed up the roof lines and the elevations a little bit to give it a different look. And this is how we get dressed every day. I can get dressed to go dig mud out of a hole, or I can get dressed to do a live show, right?
That's right. Sometimes you wear the cape, sometimes you don't.
That's right. Then today we forgot our capes, but we're still super. So with that said, Rob, how practical and where are you at on the sales cycle with these? Where are you at with people waiting in line or not waiting in line? You have 2 plans. Has that been a problem for you?
Well, as I said, the 3 that I have under contract are all the 2-bedroom plan. The only real question I've gotten on that plan is, well, two questions. One is, where's the garage? There will not be garages in this little pocket neighborhood. We just don't have space for it. And as I learned this phrase when I worked for Habitat, we're building homes for people, not for cars.
Right.
So unfortunately, you're gonna have to park your car outdoors here. It's not a very cold climate where we are, so we don't worry too much about having to clear snow off our cars in Granite Falls. But yeah, so as you can see, the alleyway or shared driveway, in essence, certainly comes around the outside of the development. So your traffic pattern is on the outside. You're going to park in the back. You've got a service entrance through the back door that kind of dumps you right into the kitchen. And then your front door, again, takes you out onto that big oversized front porch that's covered, and that becomes your outdoor living space.
Right.
Yeah, the 2-bedroom plan has a really small, covered back porch, just as a dry place to get you into the house. You can see that little mechanical closet that you access off the back porch. So we'll have our heat pump water heater in there, and then your electric panel, and then your meter connection to the utilities right there on the back of the house.
Sure. I mean, and again, 24-foot wide, 34-foot long is the main structure, the building envelope of the house. I mean, you got walk-in closets, you got a nice full bathroom in the hallway there. I mean, it's everything that anybody needs. I see you got a chase built in there for future wiring or ductwork or whatever you want to run over to the left here. Yeah, perfect. And is that the electrical panel in the utility room by the porch?
Yeah, exactly. I guess that's the other question I forgot to mention is, can we add a second bathroom? Could we add a true master bath? And, in this footprint, there's really not space for it. We had conversations with buyers about the potential of converting that walk-in closet to a half bath.
Yep.
But, nobody wants to sacrifice their walk-in closet. So, nobody has ended up doing that. But yeah, that 2-story plan is really more the kind of the young family plan, if you will. So, more of a kind of almost like a townhouse plan where you've got all your living downstairs and all your bedrooms and baths, full baths.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a beautiful plan. It really is. I mean, the layout's good. It's open concept to the kitchen. Quite honestly, I mean, you could panelize modularly, you could do these modular as well. I mean, you got so many options here.
Well, you've heard that story, when we did the show with Mark that time. I mean, that was my original intent, was to do this all volumetric modular construction. It didn't work out on this one, but I'm certainly still talking to my modular connections, a lot of whom I've met through you, quite frankly.
Great.
Or at World of Modular, when I was able to go down there a couple of years ago. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's where this is headed, is that we're going to use more and more offsite construction methods to continue to, build more efficiently and hopefully, drive the cost down. But I think you also need, to kind of make it up on volume in some ways. So, probably bigger projects, down the road and, doing more attached housing, just for better use of land, which is really expensive to develop. So I think probably my next project, I'm going to look at townhomes, that are actually attached and hopefully doing that, full modular.
Yeah, for sure. Greg Ugaldi says, Rob is explaining the process very well. And honestly, attainable housing is key. If you don't know Greg is the chair of the National Association of Home Builders. Well, I should say the past chair, not even the immediate, but the past chair now, but still really involved in all of that. Good to see you, Greg. I hope all is well. Michael, is there anything that we did not cover that you want to make sure we get the word out on? Rob, I just call you Michael. I did. Rob, is there anything we didn't cover that you want to get the word out on? Geez, I'm losing my mind. I'm reading Michael's comment and speaking to you at the same time.
I thought maybe he had another comment or question there. Yeah, I saw Jennifer type something in there about, the students in the future of building science. I mean, when I went to undergrad, a long time ago now, I'd never heard of building science. I certainly didn't know of any schools that, had a undergraduate degree in building science. So, just the fact that universities are starting to recognize this as a career path, The Department of Energy Building America program has certainly done a great job of helping universities develop this curriculum over the last decade or so. And yeah, I think the future is absolutely bright. I mean, certainly with the graduates that we're producing, just here in Boone, there's a lot of young talent that are they have the kind of spirit that you want on your job site. It's all about quality, doing it the right way, and doing it in a sustainable manner. Again, that has the least impact on the environment. So no, I'm very bullish on the future of our industry.
Awesome. Well, I mean, it's great. It's great to hear that there's students that are interested in this. It's great that, we're starting to see more folks like yourself that are not only educating, but you're also bringing the practical experience along with it for the students to see and learn. I do have one last question. Everybody's taking a pick at me now. Lowell, sidetracked. I know, Michael. Let me ask it this way. What was the lesson learned on this? Like, what weren't you expecting? Are you on budget? Are you over budget? Where are we at?
Yeah, I'm a little over budget, to be honest. I'll take, some of the blame, just from, I'm not a numbers guy, to be honest. So I don't keep a close enough eye on that. I'm out there trying to, I'm really in the weeds on the details of putting this envelope system together, and trying to afford not only a high performance envelope, but high performance mechanical systems, ventilation systems, all that. So in some ways it's trying to strike a balance. A lot of builders tend to focus on the finishes, and those are obviously important to buyers. So I'm not trying to dumb that down too much. But you do have to strike a balance, and so my buyers don't get a lot of choice. They don't get a lot of selections. I'm trying to keep things streamlined and do as much bulk purchasing as possible to try to keep costs down. So, but yeah, everything's expensive. Costs, building materials are up if you can get them at all. So. Yeah, thankfully lumber has started to come back down some. We're starting to see that reflected in some of our purchasing lately. So in some ways you don't know until you've got one built, or a couple built maybe. So yeah, you do your best job at estimating what you think it's going to cost, in the design phase, and then you go out there and do it, and you find out what the as built really costs. So
sure.
Yeah, unfortunately, I've already had to raise the price on these a couple of times, but I told my realtor, this is it. I'm not going up anymore, because, and I don't mind telling you, the 2 bedrooms currently priced at $199, and the 3 bedrooms priced at $299. And I'm not planning on going up another dollar on these. That's really where I want to be in terms of the price point for what I'm trying to build in this market.
So, all right. So that it's $199,000 all in is what somebody's spending to move into their ranch style home.
You got it.
Come on. That's awesome. And you raised the price. Where did you start?
I don't even want to say that out loud.
All right. I'll just play some music or something. We'll just skip that one. Right. We go. All right. I can beep it out too. All right. And then
too low. How about that?
Yeah. Well, you know what? Listen, lumber went up a couple 100% during COVID. You started this pre-planning. I can guarantee you without unwavering certainty that you and everybody else has raised their prices. So I know it's not what you wanted to do. I also know that, in the Appalachian region, that price point is expensive, I'm sure, for a lot of the people that live and work in those areas. So I don't want to, make it sound like it's not a lot of money. But right now, the average price of a home, I think Greg was saying, right, it's upward of $400,000 across the country. Now, you take out the big city markets, right, where people are making more money and what have you. But I still think that, that 200 world is, still attainable and affordable for somebody, hopefully. And that's great, man, especially if you're going to keep their energy bills low.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, obviously we like to get those to zero, but yeah, I mean, yeah, I feel like in some ways that was the goal all along. You know,
Yeah.
build a sustainable home that the average person in Granite Falls can afford to buy and not be house poor. You know,
That's right.
Yep. No, the mission accomplished in that sense. We you know, again, this is not a nonprofit.
Yeah.
This is a for-profit venture. So, you know, we want to make a reasonable profit. It doesn't have to be a windfall profit.
Right. Right. For sure. For sure. Greg has a couple comments. Panelized construction will bring back work programs in high schools as well as two-year college curriculum. You're absolutely right, Greg. In fact, you know, we're working on some stuff right now in the Appalachian region. Hopefully that's going to happen sooner rather than later with a lot of different things. And then he also says that is the benefit of panelized construction, saves serious money and great benefit to low, moderate income families. I agree as well. So, you know, I think you're doing an outstanding job, and I think just keep up the work, man. I mean, Rob, you're delivering a product for under $200,000. Like, that is unheard of. Anybody else out there delivering a product for $200,000? Energy efficient product? I'd love to hear it. Like, let us know, because if you are, you and Rob should talk, and everybody else out there, so the rest of the world can learn something on how this is being done and delivering a beautiful product. I mean, this isn't vinyl siding. I mean, you're using James Hardie siding. You're using some nice products on this. What more can we say other than congrats, you know, for sure.
Come to Granite Falls. It's a nice place to live.
That's it. I got my applaud out there for you. All right. So, Rob, thanks so much for joining us today. Everybody else out there, Buzz, Greg, Greg, thank you so much for tuning in today. Michael, thank you so much for tuning in. And so many of you that are out there on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter, and the other places I'm seeing you joining from, thank you for taking the time watching. All right, Rob, I think that's a wrap, man. We had a great show today. I think this is awesome what you're doing. I cannot wait to come down and see everything that you have going on down there. Yep, hopefully sooner rather than later. And hopefully we can talk a little bit more about these eco panel walls as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Appreciate your time.
All right, everybody. All right, everybody. That's a wrap. We will see you this Friday with Mark Bare Naked Willie. I'm Dave Cooper. Have a wonderful Wednesday, Thursday, and do not miss us on Friday, because it's always a good time. And be sure to tune in next week, because we are heading to BCMC. That's right, BCMC in Ohio. We will be out there for the most part all week, live streaming our show and bringing you the innovation that's happening out there. And this is put on every year by the SBCA. So we want to thank them for inviting us out there and allowing us to do what we do best. And that's bring you the people, the products, and the processes that are building it better. I'm Dave Cooper. We'll see you next time. Bye now, everybody.